Hi everyone, Steve Crosby here. Welcome to this edition of Monday Morning Musing, where we are talking about Jesus's I am statements. Last week we talked about Jesus's I am statement from John chapter 6. And in this year, in this episode, I want to talk to you about Jesus's statement in John 10 about I am the good shepherd. Now, Yahweh as shepherd of Israel was a well-known metaphor. It's very important, however, that we keep in mind that read the prophets, read the Psalms, and God, while he has interactions with Abraham and Isaac and Joseph and everyone, when he speaks prophetically, he speaks to them as a community. Israel is viewed collectively. So God makes statements that, when he makes his shepherding comments, it's not about somebody's personal guidance in the way of faith. He's talking about his care for them as a people. He cares for Israel as a people. That's one of the Old Testament Jewish scripture metaphors, and it was deeply ingrained in their consciousness. When God said that he is like the shepherd of Israel, it means that he had a covenantal obligation to their welfare. Like a shepherd is committed to the care of the flock, so Yahweh is covenantally committed to Israel's welfare. Now, when Jesus comes on the scene and he says, I am the good shepherd, he was taking for himself that which they understood to be Yahweh's alone. That he, as the Son, particularly as the resurrected Son, which, by the way, in early Christian art, like pre-300 AD, one of the most common representations of Jesus in Christian art is as the Good Shepherd, is that he has both the right authority, calling, power to care for Israel as a nation. Now, think of all the things that a shepherd is responsible for: protection, feeding, but here's the big one. He leads the flock, right? He leads me into green pasture, the psalmist said. So that primary shepherding function is that of bringing the flock, remember, the corporate people, to their appointed end, to their appointed destiny. We could go into some wonderful stuff about all the insights and types from literal shepherding in the first century or in Judea / Palestine. Just not going to do that. There's wonderful stuff out there. But I just want to emphasize this, is that he's the one leading the way to those profitable places as the overseeing shepherd. Now, guess who thought they had that job as Yahweh's representatives? You're right. The Jerusalem establishment, the priesthood establishment, the Pharisaic establishment. So when Jesus is saying that I am the good shepherd, he's doing the same thing again. He is ascribing to himself those attributes, if not functions, that belong to Yahweh, and that sense of the religious establishment had the right to proclaim that they are the ones who have been given the care over Israel. See, as much as Jesus's, maybe his personal message was offensive to them, or we interpret his message as being offensive, or we interpret it as Christians, kind of in Trinitarian concepts, we need to understand what an existential threat Jesus was in his day to the establishment. He again is displacing them from their primacy is their overseeing shepherding role. And he's making this statement. You cannot bring Israel, corporate Israel, into the promises of God? I am that one. So not only is Jesus the promiser, the promise, but he's the one that will lead them into the promises of God as a good shepherd overseeing the flock. There is a reason they wanted him dead, and that's another one. See you next time.